Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now the newest episode of The Bad Batch, Rampage, came out the other day and you all know what that means. It's time for another review. And for those of you who have not seen episode 5 of The Bad Batch yet, please do not continue watching this video as it will contain major spoilers for that episode. And for those of you who have seen the episode, enjoy the review. Oh yeah, I feel bad I didn't include this joke in my last video, so I'm putting it in here. Enjoy.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
So, I actually really liked this episode because it wasn't filler at all. Like, it ties into the plotline of the Bad Batch versus Fennec Shan that was started in episode 4, and the whole plot of this episode revolves around the Bad Batch trying to figure out who Fennec Shan is, and at the end of the episode, the Bad Batch does figure out who Fennec Shan is, and I bet they're gonna use that information in the future. And yeah, the whole mystery of who Fennec Shan is kind of ruined since she was in The Mandalorian, so everyone already knows who she is, but luckily that mystery gets resolved by the end of this episode, and now we can finally move on. But yeah, this episode definitely was not a filler episode. In fact, I think I liked this episode a little bit more than I liked episode 4. I mentioned in my review for that episode that I really like how Fennec Shan is the antagonist because episodes with specific antagonists are just more interesting because it provides the heroes with a bit more of a threat. And in this episode, not only does the Bad Batch have to deal with one person like they did in the last episode, but they have to deal with a whole, like, clan of slavers as their antagonists, which just makes the threats and stakes just a little bit more higher, and I really like that. And don't get me wrong, I really like how Fennec Shan was the antagonist of episode 4, but the more the merrier. Also, this is a little bit of a nitpick, but I still think it's worth mentioning. I found the plot twist that this random girl wasn't Moochie to be a little bit too predictable, since the Bad Batch just assumes she's Moochie with pretty much no evidence. Of course the episode's gonna pull a cheap plot twist out of that and be like, oh, it actually wasn't that girl, what a surprise. It wasn't that big of a surprise. However, to the episode's credit, I did not expect Mochi to be a Rancor, let alone a young version of the Rancor we see in Return of the Jedi. That was a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. But now it's time for the part in every video where I talk about the Bad Batch. And as always, let's start this segment by talking about Omega. And I really liked Omega in this episode. She actually starts to feel like an actual member of the Bad Batch crew. In earlier episodes, she says she's a member, but like, you never actually get to see her be a member, like, officially. The most obvious example of this is when Omega gets her first comm device, but there are more subtle examples of this too, like when Hunter tells her to go back to the ship and she actually listens to him. In other movies and shows, when the spunky little kid gets told to go back to the ship or vehicle or whatever and stay out of the action, they usually immediately disobey, but Omega actually obeyed Hunter and shows that she has respect for his authority, which was a really nice touch. And of course, she eventually, inevitably, and predictably leaves the ship and goes back into the action. But unlike I predicted, Omega had a good reason for leaving the ship. The ship was being inspected by slave traders, and if they found her, she would be killed, so I think her actions are justified. And after Omega leaves the ship, she makes herself useful by freeing the captured members of the Bad Batch. And I've said this a dozen times before, but I really like it when Omega is useful, because I really thought she was gonna be the annoying character in the series, and I absolutely hate it when the only reason characters exist is to be annoying. But Omega's actually not that annoying. Like, sure, like I covered in my last video, she has her moments that are not great, but overall, she isn't terrible. Now let's talk about the rest of the Bad Batch. They're okay in this episode. Okay, now we're moving on! Some other things I feel like I should mention in this video are Sid. She's an okay new character, but something about her just rubs me the wrong way. I get what they were going for, a fairly old and grumpy lady, but I don't know, it might just be the voice acting, or how the voice acting mixes with the character design, or just her dialogue in general, but something about her just annoys me. The music in this episode is somehow less noticeable than the music in the last episode, but at least it isn't noticeably bad. As far as the editing, animation, and location design are concerned, they're pretty much on the same level of quality that the last episodes were on. They might have improved a little bit since then, but I can't really tell. Overall, I would say this episode is my second favorite in the series so far. If you're surprised, first of all, I'm surprised you care this much about my opinions, and second of all, I'm also surprised I liked this episode as much as I did. And yeah, now that I've ranked this episode compared to the other episodes, I don't really think I have anything else left to say. I guess just like and subscribe if you want. I don't really care. I'm not going to sit here and be one of those YouTubers who are like, please like and subscribe right now! Hit the subscribe button! It's the big red button! Click it, please, I beg you! Also, buy my fire merch in the description! Click on the description and buy my merch, please! Also, comment about your favorite ice cream cone! Alright, peace out! Yeah, I don't really care that much. Anyways, have a good day.